Chalamet film where he stars as Bob Dylan, the new Tom Hanks movie starring a child actor from Dorking, and the new one from Blumhouse, who make loads of great horror films. All of that with Larushka, our resident film critic. She's on in about half an hour's time. Next up, though, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, the multi-award-winning show, was Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber's first major collaboration. Came out as a concept album in the late 60s, but the stage version has become one of the world's most beloved family musicals. It's now been performed hundreds of thousands of times, including multiple runs in the West End and on Broadway, with international tours in more than 80 countries around the world. Well, now the hit production as seen at the London Palladium is heading out on tour and coming our way to Canterbury's Marlow Theatre from the 22nd of Jan, that is next Wednesday, through to Sunday the 2nd of Feb. And it will star in the role of Pharaoh, former X Factor winner, singer and actor Joe Mcelderry. How are you, Joe?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Lovely to talk Joseph with you. And this isn't your first brush with the show, is it?
It's not. It was a huge part of my life. About 7 years ago, I spent about 2 years on and off touring as Joseph. So it's been really nostalgic to come back as the Pharaoh. I've literally done the first 4 shows this week, and it's been so wonderful to be back. But it's also a brand new production, so it feels really fresh and different at the same time. So it's super exciting.
Did you come back and you're like, I know all the words, and you found yourself singing along straight away?
But it's funny. Because obviously I'd never played the Pharaoh last time, and I've been learning the role and, the choreography and the bits and kind of the track of where it goes in the show. And I was sat in the dressing room backstage on Tuesday night, and there was a bit that Joseph sings, and it was coming out on the tannoys backstage in the dressing room.
Yeah.
And I literally jumped out of my seat thinking that it was my part in the show because it's so embedded into my brain of when I did it years ago. And I was like, wrong role, that's not me anymore. I don't have to stress about that part of the show.
That's like me if I'm at home with the radio on and I hear the news jingle, I'm like, oh, I've got to be at work. There, I'm on.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's muscle memory. It's crazy.
That's so funny. So tell us about this particular version then of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Because as I say, this one is kind of, the show in some form has been doing the rounds now for 50 years. So tell us about this particular version, because it had a stint in the Palladium, right?
Yeah, so this was the brand new kind of revamped version they did for the Palladium, which was about four years ago. And it is huge. It is a monster of a show. First of all, the cast are incredible. They've just finished up in Edinburgh with Donny Osmond, and then I've taken over and joined them the other day. Christina Bianco, Adam Philippe, they are incredible, and the ensemble are insane. And then you've just the set, the orchestra, it's just a massive mammoth show. It's fantastic to watch, and I'm a little bit annoyed that I can't go out front and watch it, but I've been watching little bits and pieces in the wings of when I've been picking up my bits over the last couple of days. But it is such a spectacle to watch, and it sounds huge, it looks incredible. You've got some of the kids playing the kind of iconic roles, the Potiphar and the baker and the butler. So there's real kind of comedy moments in there, which everybody's come to expect from Joseph as well. But it's a monster of a production, and yeah, I'm thrilled to be a part of it. It's super exciting.
We last year we had Sir Tim Rice on the show talking about his incredible career, and obviously these are his words that you're singing in this particular show, and it was fascinating to hear him talk about how much that still means to him, because he came up with that well over 50 years ago now, and there's something about the way that it has endured, isn't there? The fact that it was born in the 60s, but yet here we are in 2025 and people are still flocking to go and see it. There's something about that show, isn't there?
I think it's because it's multi-generational. You look out, we did a show last night, you look out into the audience and you've got grandparents, auntie and uncles, couples, kids. It's a lot of people's first introduction to theatre, either at school or a local kind of Amdram group that they go to. So everybody has that memory from being a child. Then I think they come back to it again at school, like in the teenage years, they do it in the school productions. And then obviously throughout the years, you go back with family members, their kids bring their kids. And it just spans so many decades, but also it's just great fun. You know, I remember 7 years ago when I did the role, I remember that feeling all the time whenever you were on the road with it. It had this feeling of like love and warmth and energy in the room whenever that music started. And as soon as I stepped back into the show the other night, I instantly felt it again. It's something that you can't quite describe. You kind of, the audiences that come with Joseph are some of the best audiences I've ever performed to. And straight away the other night, I was like, oh my God, it's like I've never left. Time had passed so far, but it was just like stepping back into an old family unit again. It was fantastic.
And it must be, for you, there must be a familiar feeling about it, because when you're on stage in something like Joseph, you can see the audience, you can see the first few rows singing along. And I guess as a performer, as a singer for, as long as it's been for you now, ages now, you've had that experience time and time again of seeing a crowd singing songs back at you. So I guess you're getting that again right now.
I am. And the lovely thing about Pharaoh is, it's kind of, it's its own piece inside the show. And it still allows me to kind of have a little bit of fun and play around with the audience. There's a few kind of interactional bits with the audience where they're kind of answering back and shouting out and whooping and cheering and things like that. So it kind of allows me to have that kind of pop concert moment that I'm used to as well. Yeah. So I kind of get the best of both worlds inside the show, and I'm also donning a loincloth again, which I thought I might have avoided, but I haven't.
Yes, it's that time again. Time to get out the old loincloth. Yeah.
Straight after Christmas is not the vibe, but we've managed to fit in it, thankfully.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, because Christmas, I guess, bit of time off, you want to indulge, but then you're thinking, hang on a minute, I've got to put the old loincloth back on.
Well, I was actually quite lucky. I was doing pantomime in Newcastle, so I was doing like 10 shows a week. So that kept us fit, and I didn't really have a lot of time to overindulge in a lot of Christmas food because we only had one day off. So I suppose that was a blessing in disguise, maybe. I guess, yeah. So panto, and then straight into this. So when have you next got a bit of downtime? Well, we're on the tour until August. But we've got a little kind of break, I think, at the end of April and early May. Right. So I might get a tiny little holiday then. But I've got a few other work projects at that time that I might not get there. I might. But it's a busy year this year. But I just kind of lap it up and enjoy it. I feel very blessed with the opportunities that come my way. So I don't complain. And it's a fun job to do. So I'm very lucky.
And travelling around the country, I guess, is no bad thing. Do you get much time to see the places you're in? So, you're in Canterbury next week. Are you going to get much chance to explore while you're down?
Well, we're actually there. I think we're there for just under 2 weeks, actually, which is nice because normally we're only visiting some venues for 1 week, but Canterbury we're coming for 2. So we'll get a chance to have a little look around. If I recall rightly, I came a few years ago, and I'm sure you can go on a river, can't you, on like the boat or something? Yeah,
make sure you do that. It's great, yeah.
Yeah. And I know there's a lovely few brunch spots and things like that. So I'm sure people will see us wandering around trying to find some nice places for coffee and food, I would imagine.
If you see a man in a loincloth asking for directions to the cathedral, that might be Joe Mcelderry. Yeah.
Yeah, with an Elvis-esque look on his face.
Oh, brilliant. Look, it's been great fun to chat again, Joe. I wish you all the very best with your time as Pharaoh in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Enjoy that downtime and that holiday when it comes, if it comes.
Thanks so much. Have a lovely day.
The brilliant Joe Mcelderry there, who you can see starring in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. It comes to the Marlow Theatre in Canterbury from Wednesday the 22nd of Jan, that's next week, to Sunday the 2nd of Feb.
A crash of drums, a flash of light, my golden coat flew out of sight. The colors faded into darkness, I was left alone. May I return to the beginning? The light is dimming, and the dream is too. The world and I, we are still waiting, still hesitating. Any dream will do.
So infectious, the music from Joseph, isn't it? You can't help but smile and sing along to that. Oh, lovely to hear from Joe Mcelderry. I've got this lot to play you before 5 o'clock. Playing that bass right under his chin again, level 42.